Scientists are now finding microplastics in human cells. But here's a question almost nobody is asking. What happens if those particles start interfering with the power plants that run your body? Hello, I'm Benjamin Smith, author of the award-winning book, Why Are You Sick? And creator of the Cell City framework. I developed this model to help people understand how the body actually works as a system. Here at the Ultimate Health Model, our goal is simple: clarity over confusion. In the Cell City framework, we can think of the body as made up of a city of many neighborhoods. So one big city, trillions of neighborhoods, because those neighborhoods are your cells. Fuel and nutrients move through the city's waterways to different districts. So you can think of the waterways as they're basically your blood vessels, your vasculature. And so those carry the nutrients and the waste to and from the neighborhoods, or cargo, if you want to call it, to the neighborhoods, and trash away from the neighborhoods. And inside those neighborhoods are power plants that generate energy for the entire city. Now, this idea is not new. Scientists have been describing the mitochondria as power plants of the cell for decades. We're just expanding on this analogy so people can understand how the entire city works together. You might remember that movie, Osmosis Jones. I love that movie. That movie is great. And in it, Chris Rock was in it, and Bill Murray. And Chris Rock is this like superhero guy that goes inside of Bill Murray's body to try to help him when he gets sick. And that's kind of the inspiration for all my stuff. I remember that movie. I loved it. And it basically showed the idea of a body as a city. But that's not too far off what's happening biologically, too. Someone once commented on one of my recent videos, and they said, thinking of the body of a body like a city suddenly made health feel much more easier to understand. They said, what a refreshing way to look at your health. And that's exactly the goal of this framework, to make complex biology intuitive. Now, you've probably heard of a lot of concern about microplastics already, and those concerns are valid. What the city framework does is explain how these particles interact with the body's energy system. So when you hear, there's microplastics everywhere, you don't want to drink out of plastic bottles, the plastic's leaching stuff, like I said, all those things are valid, but when you understand how all this works together, it helps to alleviate some of your fears. People today are dealing with fatigue, metabolic slowdown, difficulty managing their weight, and most of the conversations focus on food. But what if the issue is not just fuel entering the city? What if there's something actually interfering with how those power plants run? You might be asking yourself, well, how do these microplastics get into our body? Where do they come from? Once they're inside, where do they go? Do they simply pass through the body and the system? Or do they circulate in the waterways to reach the neighborhoods themselves? And if they reach the power plants, could they start interfering with the power plants, the mitochondria, making energy? Microplastics are extremely small. So that once they enter the system, some of them can circulate through the city's waterways, because it's extreme. It's like microscopic, and eventually reach the neighborhoods themselves or the cells. Now imagine this microscopic debris floating through the city. If it starts to interfere with the power plants, then you have a problem. Energy production goes down. Anything that interferes with the power plants or the mitochondria is a problem. So the city doesn't shut down overnight, but the power plants begin to run less efficiently. That's the key. You want efficient power plants. Efficient power plants mean efficient you. Inefficient power plants mean inefficient you. It's kind of that simple. So like I said, if you might wonder if they start struggling, the power plants, this shows up as fatigue, inflammation, metabolic slowdown, difficulty managing, your fuel or the food, because it's all connected to these power plants. So here's something very important. If you follow the factors on my green side of my model, the model I created at ultimatehealthmodel.com, things like good nutrition, sleep, movement, sunlight, getting sun in the morning and at night, hydration, connecting to nature, all these things we've been doing since the beginning of time, the city becomes incredibly resilient. The cleanup crews, the waste crews, the sanitation crews, they can remove this debris easily. But if the infrastructure is already under stress, even small amounts of debris or microplastics can interfere with how the machinery works and runs. So most of these health conversations focus entirely on what you eat, but energy production depends just as much on the condition of the power plants themselves. Remember that. These power plants are at the key of this whole thing, the mitochondria. And it's been in the news lately. There's guys trying to, they're creating mitochondria harvest banks where you can get actually like new mitochondria. And that's kind of like the new thing going on with science and technology moving forward. It's pretty fascinating. So remember, the microplastics are a concern, but when you have your body is resilient and it's functioning right, it's healthy, it's not under stress, those become less of a problem. So there you go. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about something fascinating. Millions of people are using the drugs Ozempic to slow, digestion, stay fuller longer, lose weight. But if the power plants are already struggling, the mitochondria, what happens when the fuel slid delivery slows down? That's where things get really interesting. So that's tomorrow. And remember, at Ultimate Health Model, it's clarity over confusion. We reduce your fear, clear up the confusion, and help you answer your own health questions. Please follow us, like this, and subscribe because it helps this channel grow. Thank you very much.